Please welcome Chris Frakes at Modern Treasury.
Thank you. If you're joining us today, whether live or virtually, by now, hopefully, you understand the power of well-executed payments to move your company forward and prepare you for future growth. That's what we're going to focus on today, how to make your payment operations work for you. We have a great group of experts across companies of different sizes and segments to discuss how they leverage payment software to drive innovation, accelerate growth, and enhance customer delight. I'm joined today by Jess Conroy of Row, Alek Koenig of Settle, Derek Shockey of Cash App, and Michael Sindicich of Navan. Please help me welcome them to the stage. Thanks so much for being here with us today. I think to get us started, can we have each of you do like a quick intro and tell us about how your company leverages payment software? Jess, we'll start with you.
Okay. Row is delivering the first system of record for hospitality operating companies, asset owners, and the brands that they manage, which means we're collectively touching over $500 billion of spend annually. And Row provides both data and insights, as well as seamless reporting, financial operations, and we use Modern Treasury to help us move the money.
Alek?
Yeah, Settle is a cash management platform for e-commerce brands and CPG companies. So we're really taking all the documents and data that they have and moving money on their behalf to their suppliers, vendors. And the really unique thing that we do is we provide working capital throughout that platform to really solve acute pain points for them.
So Cash App is really an all-in-one financial services app. It's not just P2P, but also banking and investing. And on top of that, we're part of this broader Block ecosystem where we have Square on the merchant side and Afterpay bridging the Cash App consumer side. And we even have our own bank, Square Financial Services. So payments are really kind of core to everything we do. We grew up as a payments company, and that's still such a big part of what we are.
Cool. And Navan, some of you may have known, we recently rebranded from TripActions, but we are an all-in-one travel, corporate card, and expense management platform. We really automate the entire expense management process by, when employees swipe our own cards that we issue, whether it's virtual or physical, we take all the context of whether you're on a trip, what's your department, cost center, region, who you're with, what's the merchant data, so we know where you're spending your money. And it really automates the entire expense management process. And we leverage Modern Treasury when you don't use our cards and you expense with your own cards. We pay back employees in over 30 currencies around the world, hundreds of thousands of transactions every month.
Wow, that's super global across all sectors of the economy. We know that building payments into your business is really tough, and that's why a lot of us are here. Can you talk through some of the challenges that come with building and scaling your payments infrastructure or managing payments within your software? Let's go ahead and start with Derek.
Yeah, I think for us, we are a payments company, but we are technology first. And a lot of our partners are banks, financial institutions, financial services companies that are finance first and not always tech first. So a lot of them rely on older technology. There's less standardization. So those integrations can be really hard and really expensive to build. And it's challenging. It's fun. We like building those integrations, and we have experience doing that. But there's also virtue, and we talked earlier about build versus buy, and so that has to be part of the equation.
Yeah, and I think what you said, Derek, about sort of standardization and a lot of companies that we work with Row, you're talking about the Marriotts of the world and the Hiltons of the world, and you're talking about revenue that they've run through Excel file and you're replacing PDFs. And I think the challenge is a lot of times you can look at payments and think it's just the actual transaction, but there's everything that happens after that, and that's the client service. How are you moving the money? Where is it going? What's the data you're attaching to it? How are you tracking it? And I think that a lot of that gets lost sometimes because you think like, oh, we just process the payment.
Yeah, I guess I'll add. I mean, for us, we don't view ourselves as a fintech. I would say like we started off as a corporate travel company, and we knew that building expenses and embedding payments was going to create a better solution for our customers. And we really rely on partners to be able to deliver a lot of the fintech infrastructure. Otherwise, I don't think we would be able to, to go as rapidly as we needed to into the space and build and go and compete with the other players out there. So I think for us, we recognize that it's insanely challenging, and leveraging players out there to help support that are really, really crucial.
Yeah, for us, our payment operations are so complex. For our merchants, we need to pay vendors globally, FX, USD, and domestically, if it's checks, ACHs, wires. And for a lot of these transactions, their business really relies on it. Like, hey, I won't get this inventory until this vendor's paid. So they're really looking for confirmations there, and that's what Modern Treasury really helps us automate. And then on the working capital side, we need to debit money from our customers, and how can we make sure we're getting that at the right time, especially when complex things with ACHs is, has it settled? Has it really settled? Will it bounce back? So all those things, having Modern Treasury be that one layer for us is super impactful.
Yeah, I know we were talking yesterday about, being able to understand those industry flows deeply and how many stakeholders are involved, and not many people actually understand that. And we heard a lot about the problems that you're solving for, and there are a few paths we can take. Derek, you mentioned build versus buy. What ultimately led you to choosing Modern Treasury as a partner?
Yeah, so I think to my earlier point in that some of our partners just move at a very different pace and have a very different sense even of what risk is. And so for us, we're oftentimes trying to build the nucleus of something quickly to understand how it works or if it works. And that's really hard to do when you want to build something in 2 weeks and the bank tells you, oh, that's a 9-month integration because it has a 3-month certification and so on. And so for us, thinking about how do we get to market more quickly, how can we sort of start small and learn without having to sort of invest upfront in these complex integrations. Like I said, they're fun to build, but they're hard and they're expensive. And so how do we think about getting to market sooner?
Yeah, I think for us, it was very much the speed thing. We had this travel platform. We had our own virtual cards and physical cards we were issuing. We launched that on February 25th of 2020. And a week later, everyone got sent home. Everyone stopped traveling. Our revenue went to zero. And we kind of thought, OK, we probably need to diversify our product sets and come up with something that we can deliver to our customers. And part of that, we naturally were going to move into end-to-end expense and spend management from the whole travel payment space. But we were talking about it in 2022 or 23. And immediately, the next week, we started reaching out to players like Modern Treasury. And we thought the same exact thing. We were talking to our banks and saying, we want to build an integration. How long would this take? Modern Treasury had all of these already set up out of the box kind of flows and products that we can integrate with simple APIs and get set up overnight. So I think that was a reason why we eventually chose Modern Treasury. I think what's more important is actually the reason for staying. And we were talking about this earlier, but there's just an incredible amount of service and customer success orientation that the team delivers for us. Helps us through the SVB crisis, or if our issuer goes down and we've got all these reimbursements we can't reconcile, the team is really quick to jump on and help us. And that's what's caused us to actually not go explore those direct integrations because, again, we wouldn't want to manage all of this ourselves. And we love your dashboards and customer success.
Amazing. Shout out to our customer success team in the audience today. I'm hearing a lot about how build versus buy helps you become more of an efficient business. What about how has using Modern Treasury benefited your users, the users of your platforms? Let's start with you, Jess.
Yeah, so for us, I think before Modern Treasury, the way that we moved money to the businesses that we work with, very old hospitality brands, very old operating companies, sometimes asset owners, it was very nuanced and everything was very manual. And while manual can be challenging, it allowed us to have a lot of control about how we were working with our customers, how they were receiving funds, what that data looked like. Like, we're not batch sending funds. We're able to provide client records with everything. And we realized that, accounting firms and accounting teams at the hotels and at the operating companies, they weren't used to tech and they weren't used to platforms like you were talking about and very adverse to it, had really come to love how we were sending money and allowing them to seamlessly reconcile. And modern Treasury, allowed us to continue to deliver that. So much so that, when SVB and everything, broke for a little bit, and we went back old school where we were manually sending hundreds of wires a day to our partners and our properties, we realized that the data that you all allow us to provide and that level of customer service is something that they come to depend on, because our phones started ringing. So while we wouldn't think that they would have realized that we were sending money a different way, they immediately were like, wait a second, where's that client record that usually is in the wire details? And even though we were manually putting it in, they weren't seeing it the same way.
Yeah, it's like the recon thing that Duncan and Matt were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us, it's just so seamless for us to work with multiple banks, different payment providers, and have the experience to our customers be the exact same, so they don't even notice the difference. And that's something that you touched on with the, information that you receive back. We pass that directly to our customers, so they have all the information they need to feel comfortable that, hey, the money's there.
Yeah, I think, we talk about speed to market and there's obvious business value there. And thinking about the customer value for us, Cash App has a lot of customers who are underserved by traditional financial institutions. And for us, building products they can trust is really paramount. And so when we talk about speed to market, I also think through the lens of building the happy path for a product. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's more straightforward. It's sort of you understand what you're going for. And really where I think the customer impact is potentially greater and where it can really touch on those issues of trust or in the failure cases, the edge cases. And so ultimately we have more time to focus on those to try and get out there and learn what's going to go wrong. It's a little bit different every time. And so to have more time to focus on that and try and provide better customer experiences is really valuable to us and I think really valuable to our customers as well.
And on our end, if you think about traditional expense management, you're typically swiping your card, fronting your own, money, personal money on behalf of the business. If you don't have a card, you take these receipts, you put them in your pocket. Later, you come on a Sunday and you sit down, you take it, you code it, you upload it to the system, you send it off to the manager. Manager has to just kind of rubber stamp and approve it, and then you usually get paid back 2 weeks to a month later through payroll. The way that we operate is if an employee spends money on behalf of the company, they're paid back within 24 hours by individual transaction, not by waiting for a whole report to get submitted. And so that's the value. It's for the user and all the employees that expense with us, and then also for the finance team that gets that instant visibility versus bugging you to submit your expense reports every single quarter or month or whatever the process is.
Yeah, I know that we at Modern Treasury definitely use Navan for all of our corporate travel and expenses, and it's really a seamless way to organize everything. So it's actually been very helpful for us, our mutual customers. So we've talked a lot about the paths you've taken and how we actually got here. And if you were to look back and try to do it all over again, knowing what you know now, what do you think? Or what advice would you give to companies who are preparing to introduce new payment flows into their product, or what do you wish you had known going into it?
For us, it's a little bit different because I think, unlike you guys, we actually launched with Modern Treasury from the get-go, and we're definitely thinking about other providers that we could use, and just Modern Treasury kind of fit the bill there. So it was so important for us to launch all these different types of payment types, to even find product market fit. And I know, I think we launched that with 2 engineers in a very short time frame. So it's very easy for us to find product market fit using that without investing a lot of time and resources into building the whole infrastructure to handle it. So the only advice I'd give you is use all the tools that Modern Treasury provides, because there's definitely some things that we just kind of took for granted. It was and we just kind of found this feature, we should have been doing this a year and a half ago. So they provide a lot, so definitely take advantage of it.
I think on that note too, it's about finding partners. For us, we're building something that's very industry specific and entirely greenfield space. This revenue stream has never been operationalized. We're replacing people are managing, millions of dollars of receivables in Microsoft Outlook calendars right now. But I think when you're building for something so specific, sometimes it's easy to think you got to build it all yourself. And to your point, there's partners out there that you can work with that might be able to help you build what you want to build faster. And so you don't have to build everything yourself. It also gives you the opportunity, like we partnered with different people, and there are certain things that work at a moment in time and allow you to learn from that software and be like, ooh, it does all these things I need it to do, but I need to do a couple other things. Now I know exactly what I need to build. And so there's that opportunity where like you don't need to build from scratch every single thing.
Yeah, I think for us, even as a pretty large established payments company, we have great teams of engineers and product folks and risk and compliance and payments experts. And even still, I feel like we learn new things every time. It's a little bit different every time. The customer behavior is really unpredictable. Bad actors are just relentlessly ingenious. The regulatory landscape is always shifting a little bit. And so every time we build something, there's something new to learn and new things to find. And so I guess what I feel like we always try and do, and my best advice is maybe not particularly novel, but it's really just start small and iterate. Even at a bigger company, we still have to start small and iterate and figure out where things are going to go wrong and how to make this better. And it's just always different.
Yeah, I think on my side, my advice would be if you're a company that's like us, that you didn't start as a fintech or with much knowledge in the entire payments space, I think people underestimate how hard it is and how much effort and emphasis needs to go into it. And it's, fintech was, or maybe still is, but definitely was very, very cool and hot for a couple of years there. And I think everyone decided, oh, let's go be a fintech. Let's start doing this. And partners make it easier. But I think the amount of emphasis, if you're going to actually start introducing payments into your overall offering, can't be because fintech's cool or it's easy. It has to be because your customers have a pain point that you can uniquely solve by introducing it. And I think our rebrand is a good example of that. Like, we were Trip Actions with Trip and Travel, and after introducing this, like, we rebranded the whole company, and we have lots and lots of emphasis and effort and engineers and product, and it's almost like we've kind of morphed the entire company to evolve around this entire offering. Versus, we've got a couple product people and an engineer doing fintech within our company.
Yeah, I think one of the really big benefits is the ability to scale. When you have something like a rebrand and you're seeing how the market shifts and you're seeing what else is needed and being able to pivot quickly, I think, versus building it yourself and then you have to rebuild everything to pivot to your new target. Right. When you have a tool like Modern Treasury and the software can work with you and scale with you, I think there's a lot of value to that. I just want to thank you all for being here today, and thank you for sharing your stories, and thank you for being customers. And with that, we'll go to our second break.
Thank you.
Thanks.